Ilia, stop running, Ilia. Stop running, Ilia. Good boy. I'll make it quick, no worries. Good boy.
Did Ilia Topuria really slap Arman Tsarukyan backstage? Topuria says Arman froze up like a scared duck, claiming he put his hand on him just to remind him who runs the division. But Arman fired back immediately, saying Ilia didn't land a slap at all, just touched his neck like they were posing for a family photo. And right when fans thought the drama was over, Khamzat Chimaev jumped into the chaos with his own backstage moment going off, shoving and firing shots on Garry. Subscribe to MMA Desk and let's dive right in the video. In the middle of all the hype, it's easy to forget who these two actually are and why this moment even matters so much. On one side, you have Ilia Topuria, the new king on the block, walking around with that quiet but dangerous confidence that only a real champion has. He's not just winning fights, he's finishing people, making them look like they don't belong in there with him. Fans see him as this cold, sharp striker who doesn't hesitate. Every move he makes, online or in person, feels like it has a purpose behind it.
Backup fighter for this one is going to be Tsarukyan, right?
It's a bad decision for him. He has no chances. Like, first minutes of the fight, what he's gonna do? Go for the takedowns. Bro, come on.
On the other side is Arman Tsarukyan, the hungry contender who has been grinding for years. He's not the loudest guy in the room, but the people who follow the sport know what he brings. Insane cardio, wrestling that drowns opponents, and a mindset that says, I'll fight anyone, anywhere. When these two ended up at the same event in Doha, it wasn't just two fighters crossing paths. It felt like the present and the future of the division colliding in one hallway. The air is already heavy with tension because everyone knows what's at stake. One of them is holding the belt, the other is fighting like his whole career depends on getting a shot at it. Add in cameras, social media, and millions of fans ready to take sides. And suddenly even a simple look, a tap, or a word can turn into something much bigger.
Thank Dan because of him I fought this year. Just only guy who wanted to fight me, everybody is run out. Especially Ilia. If you're here, come on. We got a face on. There is just one contender, number one, it's Arman Tsarukyan.
That's what makes what happened backstage so important. It wasn't just about a slap or no slap. It was about status. It was about who bows their head and who keeps their chin up. It was about two men trying to show the world who really has the power. And once the story got out, things started to move fast. According to Ilia, what went down backstage was simple. In his version, he crossed paths with Arman and decided to test him in a small but very disrespectful way. He says he slapped Arman and that Arman froze like a scared duck, standing there not knowing how to react. That description alone is meant to sting. Calling another fighter scared is one thing, saying he froze in person and then acts tough online is something else. It hits the ego. It tells fans, he's fake, I'm real. Ilia even described it like he can handle Arman however he wants. The way he tells it, he wasn't worried about how Arman would respond because he already knew the answer. He claims Arman did nothing. But then Arman came out with his own side of the story, and his version was completely different. He said there was no real slap at all.
Son maybe knows something, so I'm just still waiting, training, and trying to call out Ilia as much as possible. He feels that he's gonna lose that fight, and it's better to give the belt because he knows just I'm a big problem for him.
In his words, Ilia just touched his neck, almost like they were posing for a friendly picture, and now Ilia is trying to sell that as some kind of big move. Arman called it out as pure insecurity, saying that Ilia needs to act like this online because deep down, he's not as sure of himself as he sounds. For Arman, the real fight isn't on Twitter or backstage, it's inside the cage. He even said, if Ilia wants to know what a real slap feels like, he'll be happy to show him when they're locked in together with gloves on. Right away, fans split into sides. Some slowed down every frame of the short clip going around online, trying to see if Ilia really slapped him or just patted his neck. Others said it didn't even matter what the contact looked like. What mattered was the intent and the way they reacted. Did Arman laugh it off to keep things chill? Did he freeze? Did Ilia overhype what happened just to make himself look more alpha? That mystery is part of why people are talking about this so much. It was a tiny moment in a hallway with no referee, no bright lights, and no official cameras, but it created a story that now follows both men everywhere. And for Arman, that story is hitting right as he's having the best run of his career. Arman's rise didn't happen overnight. For a long time, he was one of those guys only hardcore fans really talked about. People who watched every card knew there was something dangerous about him.
Is there a chance if they said to you, hey, you can fight for the belt, but it has to be in January, could you turn around that fast?
Of course, I can rest 1 week, fly to US and stay there 2 months. It's enough time to get ready. I didn't get any injured, thank God, and they have to say that, and hopefully on Tuesday.
His pace was crazy. His scrambles on the ground made even good grapplers look lost. When he fought top names, even in fights he didn't win, you could see that he wasn't just there to survive. He was there to push them into deep water. Recently, everything started to click. In Doha, he went in there against Dan Hooker, a veteran with a ton of experience and heart, and Arman did exactly what a hungry contender is supposed to do. He didn't just edge out a close decision. He went in and took over. Once he got his position, he locked in the submission and forced the tap. That kind of win, on that kind of stage, changes how the UFC and fans see you. Right after the fight, he wasn't shy. He talked about wanting a title shot. He said he could turn around fast, stay healthy, and step into a big fight in just a couple of months. No complaints. No stalling, no looking for a tune-up. He made it clear he's not chasing the easiest path, he's chasing the biggest one. And when you match that attitude with his style, it makes him stand out in a division full of killers.
I would like to ask you about Ilia also and about Georgia. With both of you sharing this Georgian connection, him being from Georgia, you were born there. With this much trash talk happening between the two of you, do you sometimes feel awkward because of that?
No, it's just a media game.
In interviews, he didn't just mention the belt in a soft way. He spoke like he believes he's the real #1 guy already, just waiting for his chance to prove it. That kind of talk from a guy who keeps winning is hard to ignore. It puts the champion in an awkward spot. If the champ doesn't answer, people start talking. If he does answer, he enters the game Arman wants him in. That's what makes Arman so dangerous right now. Not just his skills, but his timing. He's hitting his peak right when the division is wide open for big fights and new names. And when a contender with that much momentum gets told he froze up backstage, it isn't just trash talk. It's a direct hit on the thing he's building, the image of a man who does not crack under pressure. That's exactly why Ilia has turned up the mind games too. Ilia knows that being champion isn't just about beating people on fight night. It's also about how you carry yourself every day in front of the cameras and on your phone. When he posted about Arman freezing up and called him a scared duck, he wasn't just trying to be funny. He was sending a message to fans and to the UFC. The message was, this guy's not on my level. He's a kid. I'm the one in charge.
So if he wants to assure his title shot, he has to fight with Justin Gaethje, because if he fights with Arman, I think that Arman's gonna beat him. So the easiest path he has right now to get the title shot is Justin.
Okay, thank you.
Stylistically.
Thank you.
He also said he fights whoever the UFC puts in front of him, which sounds noble on the surface, but it also lets him act like he's not chasing or ducking anyone. It puts all the power in his hands, or at least that's how it looks. By saying Arman is a few levels below, he draws a line. He makes it seem like giving Arman a title shot would be doing him a favor, not something Arman has earned. This is the mental side of the game. If fans start to believe that Arman is just a loud contender trying to act tough online, then Ilia wins a big part of the battle before they ever touch gloves. On top of that, Ilia has a strong fan base behind him, and he knows it. Every social media post turns into an army of comments backing him up, repeating his lines, and clowning on whoever he's talking about. It adds pressure on the other guy, who now has to deal not only with the champ's words, but also with thousands of people repeating them. But Arman didn't back down. He made fun of the slap story, called it fake, and doubled down on the idea that the cage is where everything will be answered. This back and forth is a battle for control. Who sounds like the real boss? Who looks calmer? Who sounds more emotional or more rattled? Every word gets clipped, reposted, and debated. Even the smallest detail, like a smirk, a laugh, or a pause, gets turned into proof for one side. While the fans enjoy the show, there's something bigger happening in the background. The UFC is watching all of it. They see which fighter is moving numbers, starting conversations, and keeping people talking day after day. And that brings us to the part of the story a lot of people forget, the business side of who gets the next big fight. In a perfect world, title shots would always be about who deserves it most, based only on wins and losses. But in reality, the UFC is a business, and big fights are also about attention, money, and timing. Right now, the lightweight division is full of names that could make interesting matchups. There are veterans, rising stars, and wild cards like Khamzat, who can jump into the news cycle with one shove or one angry moment backstage. When that incident happened where Khamzat went off and shoved Ian, it reminded everyone how fast drama spreads. It wasn't a fight inside the cage. It was just a few seconds of chaos in a hallway, but it turned into headlines, memes, and debates.
Ready to go?
No, I'm on Arman.
Oh, he's not going to fight me. He's good. He's a copy. Don't worry. What's up? Whoa.
The UFC may not love every part of that, but they understand one thing very well. Moments like that grab eyeballs. The same goes for the Ilia and Arman story. From a matchmaker's point of view, they're looking at more than just records. They're checking who has heat, who is healthy, who is active online, and who can help sell out an arena in Vegas or Los Angeles. Arman made it clear he can get ready quickly. Ilia has the belt and the swagger. Add in this backstage slap storyline, and you've got a built-in hook for promos. But the UFC also has options. They can choose to reward Arman right now and ride the wave of this tension, or they can let things simmer, give him one more top fight, and stretch the story even longer. They can pair Ilia with someone else for business reasons, knowing that the Arman fight is still sitting there, waiting like a loaded weapon for later. Fans sometimes get frustrated, saying the right fight isn't happening fast enough, but every delay can add more fuel, more interviews, more clips, more comments. The UFC has to balance all of that with timing, contracts, injuries, and event schedules. A card in January, a card in March, a pay-per-view in a stadium, every card needs a main event. So while Ilia and Arman throw shots at each other, there's a room full of people behind the scenes drawing lines on a calendar and figuring out where this story makes the most sense. And what they decide next will shape not only the next few months, but maybe the next few years of the division. When you zoom out and look at the whole picture, this isn't just a story about a slap that may or may not have happened the way one guy says it did. It's about how small moments turn into huge turning points in a fighter's career. If Arman gets the title shot next, that backstage drama becomes part of the build-up forever. Every promo will mention how Ilia claimed he slapped him and how Arman promised to answer for it inside the cage. Fans will pick sides. Some will say Arman is coming to prove he's not the one who freezes under pressure. Others will say Ilia will show that there's a difference between talking like a champion and fighting like one. If Arman wins, that scared duck line gets flipped and thrown back forever. Imagine the interviews. Imagine him saying who froze now. It would be one of those full circle moments that fans remember for years. On the other hand, if the UFC goes a different way and gives someone else the shot first, this story doesn't just vanish. It hangs in the air. Arman might have to fight another top contender while still carrying the weight of that hallway moment and all the talk around it. If he loses, people will say the champ was right all along. If he wins even more impressively, the pressure on Ilia gets even heavier, because now he's dealing with a contender who is not just good, but also patient and stubborn. Someone who kept climbing while being mocked. For Ilia, every decision matters too. If he keeps talking about Arman, but never fights him, fans will notice. If he fights him and wins, he clears a loud voice out of his way and proves that his words weren't just for show. If he loses, his whole image changes. The "I can handle you however I want" line suddenly looks like a bad joke, and Arman becomes the one on top with all the power. That's why this whole thing is so interesting. We're watching more than just a matchup. We're watching pride, ego, career paths, and business all crash into each other at once. A tap on the neck, a claimed slap, a few heated posts, and a couple of interviews have lit a fire under the division. And while we still don't know exactly how the UFC will play this, one thing is clear. The next move from either man, whether it's online, backstage, or in the cage, is going to mean a lot more than just a few seconds of drama. And if you don't want to miss a single update as this rivalry explodes, make sure you subscribe to MMA Desk right now.